Hello, candle lovers. Thanks for tuning in to me today. My name is Greg, and this is all Aboot candles. And once a week, I like to do the weekly wax wrap up. This is when I go through all of the candles that I finished burning this week, talk a little bit about how they smelled, how they performed, all of that good stuff. I have got a lot of candles to talk about this week, you guys. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 candles to dig into. So get yourselves comfy and grab a snack and let's just get right into it. I finished burning Maleficent from Bath & Body Works, part of their Disney Villains collection. And we were all I think we were all suffering from sticker shock when we first saw the price points for these candles. Keep in mind, folks, that I am in Canada here. So in Canada, the price point on these was like $43, which was nuts. I myself, and I'm sure most of us, waited until there was some sort of sale so that we could get our hands on these. The lid is cool. I mean, like, the lid is like this holographic, dragon, Maleficent's silhouette that turns into a dragon. It's the same lid, it's the same cutout that they used for the Evil Queen, and it's also the same one that they used for the holographic lid on Candy Apple Cauldron last Halloween. So kind of repetitive and lazy. And ultimately, I really don't think that there's anything about these candles that really warranted a price point that was so high. I will say, however, that I thought this candle looked really cool when it was burning. There was a nice glow to it, particularly with this front part of the wraparound label really kind of shining, when the candle was lit, that I thought looked great. The lid doesn't really excite me that much. There's nothing really too spectacular about the packaging that to me warrants that $43 price point. So, none of us paid that, right? We all waited until these candles went on sale. The scent notes for Maleficent are Sinister Plum, Midnight Berries, and Mystical Woods. And I really like this fragrance a lot. Out of the Evil Queen and Maleficent, I really thought I was gonna like Maleficent the most. I think I actually ended up liking Evil Queen more. I thought Evil Queen was a little bit nicer, a little bit more nuanced, and a little bit different. This candle reminds me tremendously of Into the Night. And even before I purchased this candle, people were telling me I was gonna like this one. Shout out Nicole. People were telling me that I was gonna like this one because it's so similar to Into the Night. Into the Night is probably one of my favorite Bath & Body Works, like, long-standing body care fragrances. It's not a fragrance that I wear, but whenever it comes out in candle form, I snatch up Into the Night. And so I think part of the reason why I didn't love this candle as much as I could have is because it does remind me of Into the Night, but I like Into the Night more. Does that make sense? You guys following me here? It's a very classic, one of those darker, like, fruity florals from Bath & Body Works. I think this has a bit of a fruitier component to it than Into the Night does. Into the Night gives us sort of like a dark, sort of noir raspberry note, whereas this is more of a dark plum, and I think the fruity component in Maleficent stands out a little bit more. There's also like a really sort of powdery musk that gives it that body care vibe. It's like it's fruity berry plum, like dark stone fruity vibe on top. And then there is a tremendous amount, in my opinion, of like a musky powderiness, and also in the base, just a touch of woodsiness. I wish that there was more woodsiness in the base of this fragrance. I think that would have made it stand out a little bit more, but it's very light on that woodsy component, to the point where, without scent notes in front of you, I'm not sure many people would pick up on the woodsiness, including myself. Like, it's just in the base of this candle, like really, really low down and not super prominent. What you get the most is that powdery, musky, sort of dark fruitiness. I really liked it. Nothing that I was like crazy about, but I enjoyed burning the candle, and the candle performed performed really well. I burned it all the way down till there was nothing left. I let that last burn go off a bit longer than I probably should have, which is why there's some discoloration at the end there. But it was a really good burn from top to bottom. It had the thin core wicks on it. It was never dudding out on me or giving me any issues like that. And I have to say that I've noticed that when Bath & Body Works are doing their collaboration candles, none of them have been really terrible performers, where they don't burn well, or they dud out at the halfway point, or they get dirty. It seems like they're giving a little bit of extra care and attention to the formulas that they use when they're doing a collaboration, just to make sure that the candle is like a really nice, clean burning experience. They never use colored wax for the most part on their collaboration candles. Colored wax lately from Bath & Body Works to me has become a sign of a candle that's probably gonna struggle at the halfway point and give you itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames. That never happened with Maleficent, and I'd say that the strength and throw was acceptable. It was probably like a 5.5 or a 6 in my more open space, so it was definitely noticeable. It had a presence to it. It smelled pretty similar when it was burning as it did on cold. It was obviously a little bit of a warmer fragrance when it was burning. And I think that the powderiness was amplified a little bit more when it was burning as well. It really does smell like one of those dark, fruity floral body cares from Bath & Body Works. And I put it in my bedroom for a little while too. And in there, I would say like some of the bigger burns on it probably got up to, it probably almost hit a 7, It did pretty good for strength and throw. It's a noticeable fragrance. I didn't go very nose blind to it. And yeah, in the bedroom, I'd say it was averaging like a 6.5 or a 7. So not bad strength and throw at all. I would recommend this candle if you like the way it smells. I don't have any problems with the burn quality or the strength and throw, and I did repurchase this not too long ago. They gave us a really good sale and put these down to like $12 or $13.95, and so I did pick up a second one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna hoard it for a little while just to have in my collection, or if I will burn it shortly at some point. That has yet to be decided. But yeah, Maleficent. I wish that they had given us a little bit more variety with the Disney Villains collection. I think we could have added a third Disney villain in there that would have given us something a little bit more unique and spooky. A lot of people were talking about how they would have liked, a Cruella de Vil candle or an Ursula candle. But what they had to do was they picked the Disney villains that were attractive, sexy, tall women, you know what I mean? That would probably be wearing perfume. Like, what are you gonna do for an Ursula candle? Like the Ursula candle with scent notes of seaweed and squid ink. Or the Cruella de Vil candle with scent notes of distilled gin, cigarette smoke, and a leather-lined fur jacket. Cruella de Vil. 101 Dalmatians was the one Disney live action remake that I really enjoyed, because we get Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil, just Anita, darling, and actually that Cruella de Vil candle, distilled gin, cigarette smoke, and a leather-lined fur coat, that actually is a candle I would probably buy for Halloween season. But yeah, no, we got Maleficent and the Evil Queen. Jury is out on what to expect from further Bath & Body Works collaborations. Apparently there are going to be more, but I don't think anyone has any real idea yet of what that's gonna look like. Yeah, I liked Maleficent. Not a big game changer by any means, but I definitely enjoyed burning it. I like Into the Night so much, though, that it kind of just made me want to get one of my Into the Night candles out of storage and start burning that. Let's move on. I also finished up a Leather and Brandy from Bath and Body Works, and this is in the most recently released like fall neutrals packaging. I wasn't totally obsessed with the label that they used on this round of neutrals. I think that the vertical lines on this were just a little bit too bold, and it looks like they're like cutting through the rest of the text, which actually makes the smaller text in the bottom here a little bit hard to read. But I do love the matte finish of these containers and the neutrals coloring. I do tend to gravitate towards these candles. Anyways, the scent notes on Leather and Brandy are warm leather, amber woods, and aged brandy. And I mean, this is the definition of a mandel. This is very much a cologne. I do believe that this candle has come out before in men's body care and in cologne. It's not a very exciting fragrance, but I really do love leathery fragrances. I like boozy fragrances too. So even though this isn't anything sort of super interesting, it's definitely kind of up my alley. And I love candles like this in the bedroom. I think I burned this candle the entire time I had it. It was in the bedroom. Just something a little bit sexy about it. Kind of sexy but ordinary. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like it. I'd say that the leather note is the dominant scent note in here. It's kind of medium in range, a bit of a boozy component on top. And there is just a touch of like an amber in this as well. But predominantly it's a leathery, slightly boozy candle. It doesn't have a ton of depth and dimension to it. Not a lot of nuance, but I think it's a nice fragrance. I enjoyed having it in the bedroom for a while. It burned really nicely too. I burned this all the way down until the very end. Once again, guys, same thing with this Maleficent candle. I have a bad habit of letting the last burn go a little bit longer than I probably should. And so that is the reason why it got so discolored at the end there. But it wasn't discolored like that throughout the duration of burning it. It just happened at the very end. It was a really nice clean burn from top to bottom. It had the thin core wicks on it. I do remember this candle, I really had to limit the burn times. I did find that it had to be like less than 2 hours, even when I trimmed those wicks. The thin core wicks on this one were really a powerhouse, like flaming, like had to limit the burn times for sure. But I'd rather have a candle that does that than a candle that duds out or gives you itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames. But after this candle was burning for an hour and a half or 2 hours, like really high flames on it and deep even wax pools, but it made the strength and throw pretty good. I'd say that in my bedroom, it is easily getting up to a 6.5 for strength and throw, and probably a 7. Actually, I'll give this a 7 in the bedroom for sure, which means in my more open space, it would probably be sitting around a 6 for strength and throw. So not bad, no major complaints. I might get this one again. I'm hesitant to recommend it. I don't really think it's something that is necessarily special enough for a lot of people to enjoy. I know a lot of people aren't really big fans of cologne fragrances in home fragrance, so I'm not sure I'd recommend it, but I think it might be a repurchase for me. You know, I just thought it was a kind of nice, pleasant, manly smell, you know? I burn a lot of candles, folks, and so they don't all need to be favorites, you know? What I really like is a lot of variety, and so, yeah, I'll probably get another Leather and Brandy at some point. Yeah, I liked it enough. I also finished off a Mahogany Coconut, and this is from the Spring Summer Neutrals collection. And I love Mahogany Coconut. I talk about this fragrance a lot on my channel, so I'm not gonna dwell on it too much today. The scent notes on it are creamy coconut, mahogany woods, and English lavender. Oh, I just think Bath and Body Works does great coconut candles, and I think they do great like mahogany blends. Like I love their mahogany vanilla too. Mahogany Coconut, this might be, it's probably my favorite my favorite coconut candle from Bath and Body Works. Actually, it's probably in the top 10 or 20 of my favorite candles from Bath and Body Works. But when it comes to coconut candles, this is my favorite one because it sits really low in the register and it's creamy and it's woodsy and it's deep and it gives pretty good strength and throw. Yeah, I just love this one. I really, really do. It's just the mahogany, like the woodsiness of it, I think just balances out the coconut in this candle so well. Oh, I love it. I burned it down pretty far here, guys. Nice, clean, even burn. Thin core wicks on this one. Whenever Mahogany Coconut comes out in the neutrals line, they put the thin core wicks in it. And I always seem to have issues with this candle in the neutrals line. Just like with pink, lavender, and espresso. The first half of the candle does really, really well. And then the second half of it is just dudding out, itty bitty wicks, teeny tiny flames. Now, when Mahogany Coconut comes out and it's not in the neutrals packaging, it usually has the flat, like curly wicks on it. And it always performs and burns better when it has those wicks. But whenever it comes out in the neutrals line, we've always got the thin core wicks, and the first half of the candle does great, and then the last half starts to dud out. And so I've got about this much left on it here, and I put this last bit of it under the heat lamp in my kitchen to get the rest of the fragrance out of it for the most part. But the first half burned quite nicely. I'd say that the strength and throw in my more open space was like a 6 or a 6.5. Put it in the bedroom for a while, it's getting up to about a 7 for strength and throw. When I had the last bit of wax under the heat lamp in my kitchen, it didn't get as strong as I thought that it would. But I think that was probably partially because, I had burned it down to this point, but there had been like a deep, even wax pool. So a lot of the wax had been heated already. So, under the heat lamp in the kitchen, it was probably only giving me like a 6.5 for strength and throw. But that was just the last third of the candle, right? Oh, I love Mahogany Coconut. This is absolutely a recommendation for you, especially if you want like a nice sort of a darker woodsy twist on a coconut fragrance. I recommend this one. Absolutely a repurchase for me. I probably have like 5 or 6 of these in my stash. I just love it. Mahogany Coconut. And I like the way that they did the neutrals labels on this collection. You notice there that the background isn't quite, the lines aren't quite as bold on the Mahogany Coconut as they are on the Leather and Brandy. And I think that the text is a lot nicer on Mahogany Coconut as well. It's very, very nitpicky, but I wasn't obsessed with the way that they did the neutrals labels on this latest line here. I think that this is the nicest they've looked though on the Mahogany Coconut. Okay, moving on. I finished up this number 33 from Bath and Body Works. This got repackaged in the spring or summer, and it was called Espresso Lemon Twist. Originally, it came out as number 33 and number 42, and then there was like an online vote for what this candle should be called, and then it was like a year until they actually did get repackaged with the names that had been voted on. Oh my goodness, just give us a good candle, good lord. But I liked both of the fragrances, number 33 and number 42. I liked them so much that I repurchased them, and I do have a full-length review out for number 33, which is now called Lemon Espresso Twist. Okay, whatever, who cares? Let's talk about the fragrance. We've got espresso beans, warm vanilla, and lemon peel. Oh, I love this one. There's like no fragrance left in here. This was a melter candle for me. I never actually burned this candle regularly. I just thought it would make a great fragrance for in the kitchen under the candle lamp. And I had it in there for like a week, maybe a week and a half, just on the highest setting that my lamp goes for 8 hours a day. Every time I walked into the kitchen, I was like, I feel like a lot of people preferred number 42, which was like the leathery, like vinyl kind of, a little bit chocolatey or vanilla, or it was coffee. Was it coffee and leather, that number 42 one? I feel like most people liked 42 more. I actually preferred 33. I thought it was a little bit more of a unique fragrance, that sort of lemon and espresso combination. I know it didn't work for everyone, but it really worked for me. I love it. There's almost no fragrance left in this wax anymore. It's a very like lower range fragrance with that sort of lemon on top, and it does come across as it's more of like a dried like lemon peel or a lemon twist or a lemon rind than it is like a juicy like squeezed lemon, you know? And that's on top. And then there's like there's a nice sort of smooth espresso note. To me, I'd say it comes across more as coffee than espresso. To me, an espresso note would be a little bit darker, a little bit more crunchy. I think this is actually a fairly smooth coffee note. And then there is a fair bit of like a vanilla in the base of it. Not a super sweet, like gourmandy bakery vanilla, more of like almost like a dried vanilla bean type of vanilla. Yeah, I love number 33. And like I said, I melted this entire candle. It spent like a week and a half under the candle lamp in the kitchen. And then if I'm just planning on melting an entire candle, it'll go under the candle lamp for a while. But then the last stop is always the candle crock in the bedroom. The whole thing liquefies, then I just cook it and I suck all the rest of that fragrance out of here. I'd say that the first couple of melts under the heat lamp, it was getting very strong, like an 8 for strength and throw for sure. I use a heat lamp with a 50-watt bulb, and I put that bulb just like maybe an inch or two above the candle because I use an adjustable lamp. And so it will liquefy the entire candle after about 4 hours or so. And yeah, the first couple melts on this were just really almost creating like a thickness in the air in my kitchen. It was definitely like an 8, maybe even an 8.5. And then you know how it is when you're melting candles. The subsequent burns get a little bit weaker. I kept it under the candle lamp until it was probably down to like a 5 or so. Put it in the candle crock in the bedroom, and the first time that you turn it on, it probably got up to like a 7 in there, and then it dissipated pretty quickly. I really extracted as much of the fragrance out of this one as I could. And yeah, I really like number 33, and I have purchased some of the lemon espresso twists candles, which I'll either burn or melt at some point here. They're in my stash. I also finished up this Campfire Cocoa from Bath and Body Works. This was part of the sort of outdoorsy camping collection that they gave us at the beginning of the year. You can see we've got a Bigfoot monster kind of creeping, lurking in the trees there. My favorite thing about the packaging on this collection of candles was this gorgeous speckled lid. This white lid with the blue speckling, I thought this looked fabulous. And this isn't a look that we see very often on lids from Bath and Body Works candles. And also, this candle looked really lovely when it was burning as well. The way that the wraparound sort of illuminated the trees and the stars on here, it looked really nice when it was burning. This is a repackage of Hot Cocoa and Cream. Nobody can tell me that this isn't an exact repackage of Hot Cocoa and Cream. And the scent notes on it are the exact same scent notes that we get on Hot Cocoa and Cream, or at least for the last couple of years. Decadent milk chocolate, fresh steamed milk, and mini marshmallows. This is one of my favorite chocolate fragrances from Bath and Body Works. I'd say it's the only like chocolatey fragrance from Bath and Body Works that I buy on a regular basis. It's just, I'm such a chocoholic, you guys. I'm one of those people. I always have like a large chocolate bar hidden in a cupboard somewhere. And you know, every day or two, go in there and take a couple of squares for it. I love milk chocolate. And this to me is the most authentic like milk chocolate candle that Bath and Body Works does. It's so sweet and creamy. It's fairly one-dimensional, this is a chocolate gourmand fragrance. Like, there's not a ton of like nuance or balance to it, but I really think they do a great job of hitting that like milk chocolate note. And like something about lighting this fragrance, when I have a chocolate craving, this candle really actually does like scratch that itch. You know what I mean? It's just so decadent and chocolatey and sweet. And I will say that this version did really, really well. This candle burned great. I burned it all the way down to the bottom there. Never dudded out, never gave me itty bitty wicks or teeny tiny flames. As you can see, the wicks are still standing up nice and tall there. I burned it all the way down till the whole candle had liquefied and I could see the wick nickels. I'd say in my more open space, this was like a very solid 6.5, definitely. This is not a candle that I would put in like my bedroom or my bathroom, so it never went in there. But in my more open space, it was a very decent, consistent, like 6.5 for strength and throw. Very noticeable, very smooth, creamy, sweet, lovely. Yeah, I really like hot cocoa and cream once in a while. If you're into candles like this, I have no reason not to recommend it. I will be repurchasing it. I'm sure I'll get a hot cocoa and cream, from the Christmas collection at some point to burn this winter. I enjoy that one. I've also finished up Fiji White Sands. As you guys can tell, I think this might be the last weekly wax wrap-up where I'm gonna have summer candles. Let me think. I still might have a couple summery candles going on right now. The weather's been really nice here in Calgary. Like almost all of September, it was like 20 degrees Celsius outside, like very much still in a summer moment. The last week, it's gotten a little bit chillier, and I've been making a concerted effort to finish up all of these summer candles. Fiji White Sands is a classic. It's been around forever. I really appreciate that they've been putting it out in the neutrals line lately because I just really like the sort of simplistic packaging that we get on these candles. Man, I've been burning this candle for a long time. I have a full-length review out for this candle as well. It's one of the first candles that I reviewed on this channel, but it's actually, I think, become one of my most viewed candle reviews. Anyways, the scent notes on Fiji White Sands are fresh cut sugarcane, white nectarine, and sandalwood. Oh God, this is making me just wish that summer would last forever. There's a really lovely, like woodsy, stone fruity note to this candle and a nice sort of natural sweetness. It says sugarcane in here, fresh cut sugarcane, and that makes sense to me because it's not like a sharp, like granulated saccharine sugar. It's more like a really nice, smooth, like natural sweetness. And a considerable amount of like a fruity sort of stone fruit vibe, and then a very like creamy and light woodsiness. And this candle's always intrigued me. Something about this candle gives off the impression of like a coconut vibe. Like if you were to just smell this really quickly on cold, you might think that it was a coconut fragrance, but it's actually not. When you really like give it a good sniff and think about it, you can pick apart the different components and realize that it's not a coconut fragrance at all. It's just all these other sort of nicely done tropical components that give it a lovely balance and a really nice nuance. Oh yeah, I love Fiji White Sands. I must burn like 2 of these every summer. This one did really, really well. This is the neutrals packaging, the most recent version. Burned it all the way down till there was like nothing left. Pretty clean wax at the end there. This never gave me dudding out, It had thin core wicks. And it also had, white wax, just like Mahogany Coconut here. Like it feels like these candles should perform the same, but no, this one burned beautifully all the way from the top to the bottom. No itty bitty flames, nothing like that. The strength and throw on this version I also thought was good. I'd say that in my more open space, this was like a 6.5. It is a softer fragrance. It's not one of those fragrances that I think is really even meant to like really stand out and slap you across the face. Like, this is a fairly soft and subtle fragrance, but it still had a nice presence to it. This sort of like smooth creaminess. Oh, I just love this one. Yeah, 6.5 in my more open space. I did put it in the bedroom for a while, and I'd say it was getting up to like a 7 in the bedroom. Not bad at all. In fact, I would venture to say that this version is a little bit stronger than versions that I've burned before in the past. I feel like it's been a good candle for a while now, but I do remember versions of Fiji White Sands really having poor strength and throw. Like, I'm talking like a 5 or a 5.5 in a more open space. So I actually think that they might have, improved this one a little bit in the more recent years and made it a little bit stronger, because I was really happy with the way that one performed. Okay, that's all I've got for Bath & Body Works. We're going to move on to a couple of Goose Creek candles. This was a weird one for me, folks. This is Campsite Embers. This was part of the sort of first wave of fall candles that we got from Goose Creek. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this packaging. Something about the opacity of the wraparound, and I don't know, this picture in the middle of the label, it's just a little bit literal for me. I really prefer abstract packaging on candles. You're gonna call a candle Campsite Embers and then literally just give us a picture of a campsite with a campfire burning. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's fine packaging, just nothing that I'm blown away by. Really boring, plain lid on this one. The scent notes on Campsite Embers are smoked woods, glowing embers, and leather hiking boots. And it smells fairly authentic, It smells like a fairly authentic outdoorsy in the woods candle with a nice leathery component to it that I appreciate. There's something about the embers note that Goose Creek uses, and I've noticed that not just with this candle, but with other candles that they have. Whenever they give us like a glowing embers note, and I'm not talking about a smoky fragrance, whenever it's like that woodsy, like embers note, there's something about it that just rubs me a little bit the wrong way. And I talked about this quite a lot when I first hauled this candle. There's sort of a strange, sharp, medicinal quality to something in this that I'm not entirely obsessed with, and doesn't really come across to me as like a Campfire Embers vibe. It comes across more as like sort of an odd, sharp, medicinal thing, But that might just be me, you guys. I don't hear other people having the same complaint as I do. I'm also burning Bonfire Leaves right now from Goose Creek, which has that similar, I believe one of the scent notes on there is also like glowing embers. And I like that candle more, I think, than this one. But it has that same sort of odd, sharp, medicinal note to it that I just can't completely like get over, But I liked this candle quite a bit, actually. And also, I should say, smelling it on cold is one thing, but when I was burning it, it came across fairly differently. When I was burning this candle, it smelled much more authentic. It smelled much more natural. There was a nice warmth to it that really sort of gave you more of that like campfire vibe. And it didn't come across nearly as like oddly medicinal when it was burning. That was just something that I'm really picking up on cold. But even now, having burned the candle and smelling the leftovers in here, I'm getting that weird medicinal note. And I just can't quite put my finger on it, but I don't love it. But overall, I like this candle. I'm not convinced I would repurchase it again, and I'm not convinced I would recommend it either, because there is something a little bit odd about it that I think would really turn some people off. Plus, there are other candles very similar to this in Goose Creek's lineup that I think are a little bit better, such as that Bonfire Leaves candle that I was just talking about. This was a great burn, though. A really good burn. I burned it all the way down until there was nothing left in there, and a very clean burn as well, particularly for a Goose Creek candle. Look at how clean that wax is at the end there. Really, really, really nice burn. Never dudded out, never gave me issues. You know, I could burn it for a nice solid 2.5 hours without needing to blow it out. I thought this candle did really, really well. And the strength and throw was like, I'd say a very solid 7 in my more open space. For sure, yeah, like a 7. I never put this in the bedroom, never put it in a smaller space. I was really happy with it in the more open area. Yeah, something about it though. I liked it, but I just didn't love it. But good strength and throw, great burning candle, Campsite Embers from Goose Creek. All right, here is something pretty out of my wheelhouse. You know, I've only been buying from Goose Creek for about 2 years now, and so I am still at the point with the company where I'm just curious to try a lot of things, even if they're not something that's really like up my alley. I'm curious enough person that I want to try everything, and Goose Creek does so many gourmands, and so Goose Creek has given me almost a little bit of a new lease on life for gourmands because they just have such a wide selection of things like this. And a lot of people told me that blueberry cheesecake is one of their favorite candles from Goose Creek, and so I wanted to give this blueberry cheesecake a try. This is an older version of this candle. I think I ordered this maybe, I don't know, last year, or at least at the beginning of this year. I think this collection was on the website. It might be older than that. Do Goose Creek give us dates down here? It's in like some weird code, kind of like the same way Bath and Body Works does. I can't really tell when this was poured, but I feel like it came out a year or two ago. Yeah, this one was not what I expected at all. The scent notes on it are wild blueberries, fruit filling, pie crust, and cream cheese. Now, the thing about this candle that I wasn't expecting is I was expecting a little bit more of a bakery component, and they do say pie filling or fruit filling in here. To me, the predominant fragrance in this candle is like a fruit filling, and it's probably not like the fruit filling that your mama made from scratch. It smells to me like a can of blueberries. You know, let's say you're gonna bake a pie and you just get the canned blueberries from the supermarket. This very much smells to me like you've just opened a can of like blueberries, right? And there is also a little bit of a lactonic note, giving it that like cheesecakey vibe, but it's nice. It doesn't turn into like a sour situation. You know, the lactonic note is held back enough that it doesn't become one of those kind of sour cheesecake candle situations. But I do feel like that sort of canned blueberry fruit filling note overpowers pretty much anything else that you might find in here. And there isn't really like a graham bakery component to this. I like a cheesecake candle where you can smell some of that graham cookie like crust. You know what I mean? This one just says pie crust, so maybe it's just one of those pie crusts that don't have a lot of flavor to it. But I need my cheesecake with a graham cookie crust, for crying out loud. Don't be giving me no regular pie crust on a cheesecake. I want that crumbly, like graham cracker brown sugar crust on a cheesecake. And I'm not getting that on this one, but it was nice enough, actually. I mean, I'm not big on fruity candles, and I'm not big on bakery candles, and so I'm not convinced I'll repurchase this. I don't really have a reason not to recommend it, though. If you like that smell of like a pie filling, I think this might be right up your alley. The blueberry itself isn't a particularly fresh blueberry note. You know, one of my favorite blueberry candles ever is Wild Maine Blueberry from Village Candle. It's not a blueberry note like that, like a fresh, like sweet, juicy, ripe berry. This already smells like a preserved berry, right? Yeah. However, the candle performed really well. Just a little bit of discoloration at the end there, but once again, for a Goose Creek candle, this was a really nice clean burn. The wax was a little bit discolored for sure, and not just at the end there. The wax started getting a little bit darker around the halfway point, I'd say, but I burned it all the way down to the whole thing had liquefied and I could see the wick nickels, and the strength and throw on here, whoof, it was good. I'd say it was like a 7.5 or an 8 for strength and throw, and that is in my more open space, and the fragrance really traveled too. You know what I mean? I really couldn't have anything else burning around this candle unless I was sort of intentionally blending the fragrances, because this candle, I never went nose blind to this fragrance. It was very noticeable, that sort of that blueberry, preserved blueberry pie filling note really traveled and really hit hard. I'd say, yeah, even in my more open space, we're getting like, depending on the burn, we're getting like a 7 or an 8 for strength and throw. No complaints at all for strength and throw on the blueberry cheesecake. Now we're gonna have to talk about some candles that did not have that kind of strength and throw, because I also finished up some Yankee candles. I also finished up some Yankee candles recently that we're gonna have to talk about. I've always liked Pink Sands from Yankee. I've always liked this fragrance a fair bit. This candle doesn't look like much anymore, but it actually looked really pretty when it was filled with like that soft pink wax. I also finished a Pink Sands this summer in like the large apothecary jar format. You get a little bit better of a sense of the color. Actually, no, this is still kind of like dark and discolored here. I've harped a lot on the packaging and the appearance of Yankee candles over the years, so I'm just not gonna get into it again right now. This is like an older version. It was Amazon Prime Day like a while back, and I think that I got this one for like $11.99 or something during an Amazon sale. And at the same time as buying that one, I also purchased this one, which was on sale for like $21 or $22 or something. It had been a really long time since I had burned Pink Sands from Yankee, and I know that they've been struggling with strength and throw, and so I bought both of these at the same time, fully with the intention of burning them at the same time in the hopes that I would get some decent strength and throw out of them, and they ended up doing all right. Let's talk a little bit about the scent notes, because I had to get them off of the website. There's a scent story here. Pink Sands. This is a floral fragrance. Pink Sands is the exotic island escape you've always dreamed of. Juicy melon scents are softened by gentle aromas, giving you space to relax and clear your mind. Warm bass notes are enriched by a touch of jasmine, completing the sense of paradise. Good Lord. That's saying an awful lot without saying anything at all. There's nothing I love more than ridiculous scent stories for candles. All right, well, the scent notes on here, the good old scent notes just say top notes, citrus, melon, and berry. The middle note is osmanthus, and the base notes are spicy vanilla, musk, and woody notes. Oh, Yankee, giving us some osmanthus. Osmanthus is like a flowering plant that has sort of a floral tulipy green, like a green tulipy fragrance to it. I mean, who is smelling Pink Sands and going, oh, that must be osmanthus that I'm picking up on? This is a very classic Yankee fruity floral fragrance. I've always really liked Pink Sands. It is a little bit sweeter than fragrances that I usually like when it comes to fruity florals, but there's something about sort of the softness and the nuance of this fragrance that I really enjoy. It is a lovely, lovely floral note, and the berry note is also, it's another one of those sort of naturally sweet smelling fragrances as opposed to something like saccharine and granular, you know? There's a really lovely sort of tropical light, like airiness to Pink Sands that I've always really enjoyed. It's a fairly like top heavy fragrance, but there's sort of a smoothness and a creaminess to it that I enjoy. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a particularly like complex fragrance. I think those scent notes are a little wild. I definitely pick up on melon and berry, the osmanthus, I guess. You know, to me, I would actually probably say tulip, like greenery and tulip if I was just guessing without scent notes in front of me. Yeah, like a green sort of like leafy floral. Spicy vanilla is weird. Nothing about this candle gives me any sort of like a spicy component whatsoever. It's really quite like smooth and sweet, but the base notes say spicy vanilla, musk, and woodsy notes. There's definitely a considerable amount of musk in here. Maybe just something like, maybe just a touch of like a really light, creamy sandalwood in the base. You know, it actually has a similar vibe to me as Fiji White Sands from Bath and Body Works. I think Fiji White Sands is a little bit better. It's not as sweet. I mean, this candle has been around forever. I don't think I've burned this candle since I've started doing this channel, though. The last time I burned it, it was in like the old Yankee candle packaging. I like it enough. I probably will repurchase one, you know, down the road at some point. The performance was all right. Like, I burned these candles together most of the time, but also separate a little bit. The big single wick apothecary, I mean, this sucker burned forever, and I spent a considerable amount of time just burning it outside just for the ambience. I can't tell you that I really smelled this candle on its own when it was burning. Like, when I was burning this candle inside, I was almost always burning it with this one. And in my more open space, burning both of these together, maybe I was getting like a 6 for strength and throw. Like, I'd have one on my coffee table and one on like an end table, probably about 10 feet apart from each other. And I'd say that it was giving my more open space about a 6 for strength and throw. I also burned this one separately in the bedroom, like on its own. And under those circumstances, this got up to a 6, like on its own. You know what I mean? In the bedroom. It was a really good clean burn though. I will say that much. Like, I burned this all the way down until there was nothing left at all. This candle burned forever. This is a 20 ounce 2 wick candle. Yeah, I felt like this candle burned for a really, really long time. I actually thought that this candle performed all right. I'd say my bedroom is like a medium to a large-ish space, and for it to be able to get up to like a 6 in there on its own, not terrible. I mean, yeah, it's Yankee, you guys. What can I say? Whatever. Who cares? I've got another Yankee candle I need to talk about now. I also finished burning Ocean Air from Yankee. As far as their like randomly placed clip art goes, I actually thought that this one was fairly nicely done. I mean, now that we're getting those Yankee candles with the labels that are like off-center and crooked with the bad illustration, like looking at what the Yankee candles, the new packaging looks like, I feel like I'm actually going to be missing these ones where it really kind of showcases the wax and you just have like random illustrations placed all over. This is a really lovely fragrance. The wax was so beautiful too. Yankee does such an incredible job with their wax colors. I mean, I think that all they should do, honestly, is just make that wax look beautiful and just say Yankee candle, the name of the candle, and maybe one like small illustration. That's all we need. Now we've got those big ugly square labels. Whatever. I always get sidetracked whenever I'm talking about Yankee candles. I always get sidetracked and start complaining about the packaging, but you know what? It is what it is. And I really liked this Ocean Air fragrance. Even though Yankee Candle is like the first candle brand that I started buying from on a regular basis. There are a lot of Yankee candles that I had never tried before, and this was one of them. Let's see what it says. Ocean Air on the website. We get a scent story along with the fragrance notes. This is a fresh and clean fragrance. The refreshing feeling of breathing in a sparkling sea breeze. Blue ozone notes mingle with white lily and cotton flower, while base notes of sheer musk and cedarwood add a finishing touch. And so the scent notes on this one, top notes say blue ozone, linen breeze, bergamot, lemon. The middle notes say wild orchid, hibiscus, strawberry nectar, midnight jasmine, and banana flower. And the base notes say fruity musk, sandalwood, and white amber. Oh God, guys. Whew. What? I mean, good Lord, Yankee. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 frickin' scent notes for an Ocean Air candle. However, I really do like this fragrance. It's lovely, it's balanced, it's nuanced. I mean, candles like this are right up my alley. Like, if you follow my channel, you know I love like airy, oceanic, like briny candles like this. And so I should say that this is very much up my alley. What I do think about this candle is that there is a stronger linen component in it than I expected. And that is listed in the scent notes here. So let's just go bit by bit here. The top notes, blue ozone. Yes, I pick up on that. Linen breeze, absolutely. I'd say that linen breeze is like the strongest top note first impression in here. And then bergamot and lemon, which I don't pick up on at all. I don't get any sort of like a citrusy or a juicy like note, like whatsoever. For me, the top notes should just be blue ozone. It is slightly like briny, and linen breeze. Lovely. And then the middle notes, wild orchid, hibiscus, strawberry nectar, midnight jasmine, and banana flower. We could narrow that down to just 3 things. I would say I get the wild orchid, the hibiscus, and the banana flower, because there is a little bit of a greenery in here. Strawberry nectar, not at all. And midnight jasmine, like, it does come across as like a softer white floral, but I get more of the like orchid, hibiscus, and like a green leafiness than I would jasmine, especially midnight jasmine. Like, what? And then the base notes just say fruity musk, sandalwood, and white amber. I really don't pick up that much on like a fruity musk, but there is a little bit of a powdery musk. Sandalwood, I don't know if I get much of a woodsiness from here at all, but the white amber I pick up on. It's sort of, the white amber and the musk sort of give it that kind of like body, like sort of skin vibe almost. But it's mostly like a really lovely, airy, like floral linen fragrance. And I really actually liked it. I really, really liked this fragrance. The candle burned beautifully. I mean, the jar is still pretty nice and clean. And I also appreciate one of the things about these big Yankee tumblers. I appreciate that I can let them burn for a while. Like, I would probably let this burn for 4 or 5 hours at a time without it really giving me any problems or getting crazy. I mean, I burned it all the way down there till there was like nothing at all left. The strength and throw, however, was not fabulous. This didn't spend much time in my more open space because it got pretty lost. I'd say in my more open space, it was like a 5 for strength and throw. So I could just barely tell it was there. So I'd say I burned almost all of this candle in my bedroom and in a hurricane. And under those circumstances, it was getting up to like a 6. Maybe if I'm being generous, some of the good burns on here, hurricane, bedroom, maybe got up to like a 6.5. Maybe. Yeah, like a 6 or a 6.5 under those like very specific circumstances, which is actually okay for me for a bedroom fragrance, because this isn't the type of fragrance that you're expecting to really like slap you in the face. This is supposed to be a little bit more of like a soft, subtle, like atmospheric, kind of airy fragrance. So I was actually pretty happy with the way that it performed in a hurricane in the bedroom, and I think I might actually repurchase repurchase this one next year, believe it or not. I'll repurchase Ocean Air again before I do Pink Sands. You know, Pink Sands is one of those Yankee candles. Every 2 or 3 years I'll give it a go. But I think I want another Ocean Air for next year. Yeah, I actually ended up enjoying this one, but not a good performer for like a more open space. I actually think that would make for a good bathroom candle. I bet when I have company over, if I were to have put it in the half bath, it would have been like a 6.5, like reasonable strength and throw in there. So yeah, I actually do think that I might repurchase that one. Okay, I also finished up, ooh, this might have been my favorite candle. Let me think here. Well, no, I mean, some of these are classics that I've loved for a long time, but my favorite candle that I had burned for the first time was this rain candle from Village. And spoiler alert, I have already repurchased it. So I will show you my fresh version with this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wax. Oh my goodness, you guys, I loved this candle. This is a 2-wick format from Village. This is my favorite format of their candles. These burn for 160 hours. They're 21.25 ounces. And I'm going to talk about Village Candle a little bit at the end of this video because we got some kind of bad Village Candle developments that have just happened, but man, I loved this rain fragrance so much. Oh, let me smell this fresh one while I'm talking about it. Oh, this is so lovely. I bought this candle off of the recommendation of Sarita from Coffee and Candles. I think that she burned this last year, like quite a while ago, and she was really happy with this and gave it a recommendation. And where Sarita and I really kind of share love of a fragrance genre, it's like these spring, summer, like watery, sort of beachy fragrances. Her and I really have like a very similar taste when it comes to this sort of specific type of fragrance. So if Sarita's gonna recommend a candle called Rain, I am going out and I am buying it. I think I literally ordered it off of Amazon like right after seeing her review of it, and she was right. This is just a lovely, lovely fragrance. Oh, I repurchased this candle when I was only halfway done burning this one. And by the way, I started burning this candle in March. I started burning this in March. Now, I did keep this candle in a smaller space in a hurricane for the most part, but the strength and throw was pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about the scent notes first. Got the scent notes off of the website here. So the top notes on Rain are watery rain accord and sparkling bergamot. The mid notes are white rose, water lily, and crisp lavender. And the base note is white amber. Now that's a nice, like, succinct top, middle, and base note Village Candle. Congratulations. What I like about this, and I burn a lot of like rainy, misty, foggy candles. What I like about this one is that it doesn't rely too heavily on the bergamot. The bergamot note in this candle is not the predominant part for me. I'd say the most predominant note in this is the floral note. That water lily and the rose. It's a lovely, lovely, soft, watery floral note. Like a nice, soft, semi-sweet white floral. If I didn't have scent notes in front of me, I might also say there is a little bit of hibiscus in this fragrance. And the top notes say watery rain accord and sparkling bergamot, and like I said, just a little touch of like citrus from that bergamot, but it doesn't overpower the fragrance by any means. There is sort of that lovely kind of airy ozonic quality in the top note here. And then the main section of this fragrance is this really, really lovely, like soft, watery floral. I just love it. That is It is a little bit perfumey, and the base note is white amber, and I think it's that white amber in the base of the fragrance that's sort of giving it a little bit of a floral perfumey vibe. However, it's like a mild perfumey vibe, you know, because of that combination of the amber and the floral. And I think there's a little bit of unlisted musk in here as well. And then just a touch of a rose note does sort of get into perfume territory, but not so much so that I would say that this is more perfumey of a fragrance than it is an atmospheric fragrance. I'd say it's much more of like a home fragrance, an atmospheric fragrance, than I would say it is something that should actually be bottled as a perfume. Do you know what I mean? Oh my God, I love this so much. Like I said, I already repurchased one. It performed pretty well. I mean, I've been burning this for a long time, you guys. I burned it all the way down until the whole candle had liquefied and there was nothing left. This format of village candle, you usually are gonna go through a period of time once in a while where it's dudding out a little bit on you. It's gonna give you a little bit of itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames probably once or twice throughout the entire life of the fragrance. There's gonna be highs and lows. There's gonna be some burns that are really great and strong and performing well, and then there's gonna be some burns where for whatever reason the wicks just get a little bit smaller. What I always do is I just wait it out. You know, I just wait it out, and they do eventually correct themselves and pick up steam again. For the most part, I burned this candle in a hurricane in my bedroom. I tried it out everywhere over the course of the last 6 months. I'd say that without a hurricane or anything, just putting it in my more open space, it was around a 5.5 for strength and throw. So it definitely had some presence to it. When I put it in a hurricane in my more open space, I feel like you might get an extra 0.5 out of it that way, getting it to a 6. Where I really enjoyed this candle was in my bedroom and in a hurricane. And in my bedroom in a hurricane, it did quite well, like a 6.5 or a 7 for strength and throw. Definitely had a lovely, soft, airy, watery presence to it. Yeah, I was really happy overall with the way that this candle performed, and I just loved the fragrance so much. So I've got another one here. I'll be hanging on to that for next spring, and I plan on burning this candle all spring and summer next year as well. I'm already looking forward to it. I just love that candle. Shout out to Sarita from Coffee and Candles. Like I said, whenever she recommends a candle like that, I pretty much go get it. All right. I also finished off a wax melt here. I don't do a lot of wax melts, guys, but Goose Creek had a sale, and I'm sure I only paid $3 or something for this. This is Key Lime Cake Pop wax melt from Goose Creek. And this is a fragrance that I had heard a lot about, but I had never tried before. Yeah, I got all of the fragrance out of there. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a very, very rich fragrance. Do we have scent notes on here? Key Lime Cake Pop. Let me see. No, we do not. Let me look them up real quick. The scent notes on Key Lime Cake Pop are juicy lime cake batter, vanilla icing, and sparkling sugar. This was a really, really strong one, you guys. I don't buy a ton of wax melts, but if I see them on sale, if one of the websites, Goose Creek, Yankee, if they're having a really good sale on wax melts, I might bite the bullet, and especially with a fragrance that I might be a little bit more on the fence about, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm pretty sure I paid $3 or something for this, and I just wanted to give it a try. It's a very, very rich fragrance. It's a little bit heavier than I would have liked for it to have been, although we're talking about a key lime cake pop, so it makes sense. My mind immediately goes to key lime pie, right? And I want a key lime pie to be light and fruity and bright, you know what I mean? Whereas this is much more of a bakery gourmand cakey key lime vibe. It's very, very cakey with a considerable amount of vanilla. The lime note in here isn't particularly like a fresh or a juicy one. You know, I'd say that the fragrance is nice. I'd say it's perhaps a little bit flat though. I'm not convinced that this is a fragrance that I'm gonna buy in candle form. I don't know. This is one of those ones that I'm really on the fence about. And even when I was melting it in my kitchen. There were some times when I walked in there and I was like, this smells delicious. And then there were some times when I walked in there and I was like, this is a little bit much, you know? Overall, though, I think I enjoyed it. I hope that these reviews have been super helpful, guys. Overall, I think I sort of enjoyed it. Yeah, no, it's an interesting fragrance. It definitely gives you that sort of battery, cakey lime vibe. Like, I don't think they're pulling a fast one over on anybody. Like, this smells pretty much exactly like the way I would expect a key lime cake pop to smell like. I don't go through a lot of wax melts. What I usually do with wax melts is I put them in an empty 3-wick holder and I put them under a candle lamp because I don't have any wax warmers, believe it or not. It would just be too much stuff. Like, I already have 3 candle lamps in my house, right? And so I don't want to be putting like wax warmers all over the place as well. And I really do prefer the vibes and the ambience of actually burning candles. I don't do nearly as much melting as I do actual burning. But when I do get wax melts, I just put the whole thing in there, by the way. Like, I'm not rationing out, let's do 3 now and 3 later. No, I'm like, pop, whole thing goes in an empty 3-wick holder and then just goes under a candle lamp. I just can't really be bothered to be setting up more stuff, to be like more candle pedestals and lamps and like everything else. I can't also be having wax warmers all over the place, or else I'm fully getting into like batty old lady territory with all of my lamps and accessories and stuff. So no, I always just take like a cleaned out 3-wick candle vessel and just put all of the wax melts into that, put it under the heat lamp in my kitchen. This was really strong. I would say, I mean, this was a powerhouse. Like, the first time that I put this under the heat lamp in there, it definitely got up to like an 8 for strength and throw. It was one of those ones that, because I'll keep my candle lamp on sometimes if I leave the house for a little while and come back. This is one of the ones that I could smell when I was like approaching the front door, you know? Like, I'd say I probably burned this, not burned it, I probably melted this for 8-hour intervals, probably like 4 or 5 times. The first couple definitely got up to like an 8 for strength and throw, and then it goes to like a 7, and then to a 6, and then I put the last little bit of it in the candle crock in the bedroom. Didn't really enjoy it that way. Didn't really enjoy it as a bedroom fragrance, but I liked melting it in the kitchen for a couple of days, and I thought it was an interesting one. I'm on the fence as to whether or not I would like buy this in candle form or repurchase it. I really don't know, but I liked trying it out for sure. Okay, one last thing to talk about here. Wow, we're ending with a real exciting one, guys. This is a coconut Pina Colada single wick from Bath & Body Works. When it was semi-annual sale, there was a ton of these basket weave tropical single wicks left over in my store, and they got 75% off, so like $4 or something. That's when I go in and I snatch them. The scent notes on coconut Pina Colada are coconut milk, blended pineapple, and a splash of rum. Not my favorite coconut fragrance by any means from Bath & Body Works. The pineapple in here, I think, is just a little bit too bright, sharp, sweet, effervescent. You know, I prefer more of like a smoother, creamier, deeper sort of Pina Colada vibe. This one was a little bit too much on the pineapple for me, and there's something about the pineapple note in here that comes across as a little artificial as well, and it kind of just ruins the rest of the fragrance for me a little bit. I don't hate it by any means. I think I have a full-length review of the 3-wick for this candle out there as well. I do have full-length reviews out for a lot of these, so I will link to them in the description box below if you're interested in checking them out. What I like single wicks from Bath & Body Works for more than anything is the ambience. So single wicks go either outside during the summertime or they go in a hurricane in the small bathroom, and I light them when I have company over. When this candle was in a hurricane in the small bathroom, it was maybe like a 5.5 or a 6 for strength and throw that way. I never tried burning this in the bedroom or in my more open space. This candle actually spent a lot of time outside on the coffee table, just a nice candle to have lit up there in the evenings. I burned it all the way down to pretty much the bottom there. One thing I really like about the single wicks from Bath & Body Works is for the most part they burn really, really nicely, especially the ones with white wax on them. The single wicks that you get with colored wax can have some problems, like that Into the Night single wick with black wax. I bought so many of those at an SAS once, and the black wax, they just don't burn properly. They don't pool out well. But if you see white wax on the single wicks, they're usually gonna do really, really well. And I like that you can burn them for a long time. I will sometimes burn single wicks from BBW for like 5-6 hours without really being concerned or having any problems at all. Do they deliver a fantastic like home fragrance experience? No, but I feel like they're an all right product actually, to be honest with you. And like I said, if you have a hurricane smaller space, you'll get some strength and throw out of them. But I mostly burn these outside. You know, I mostly just burn these outside for the ambience of it all, and yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Coconut Pina Colada, Bath & Body Works single wick. Whoof! That's all I have got for you folks today. Oh, lots of candles though. Lots of candles. I'm not really gonna get into candle company news like I usually do at the end of my weekly wax wrap-ups because I am pre-recording this like quite a bit ahead of time. And I always feel like such a fraud. I always feel like such a charlatan. I'm like pretending it's the end of my week and it's the weekly wax wrap up. It's actually Thursday night at like 9 o'clock and I'm just frantically trying to figure out, I'm pre-recording a whole bunch of videos to post while I'm away on my vacation. This is one of them. And I actually had so many candles. I hadn't recorded videos for so long. I ended up with a ton, like a huge backlog of candles that I needed to talk to you guys about. And so I've actually split all of those candles in two. So this was mostly like the spring and the summer stuff that I wanted to get out of the way. And once I'm done pre-recording this video, I'm gonna record a weekly wax wrap up for next week with the other half of the candles that I've finished getting through in the last couple of weeks here. Maybe I'll change my shirt so that it's not quite so obvious. I think I've been wearing the Radiohead shirt, it seems like all weekend long. But the truth is, I'm in England right now. So if I'm speaking as my future self, I went to the Lady Gaga concert at the O2 Arena on Saturday night. And if I'm posting this on like Monday or Tuesday, we've probably moved on to Birmingham now and are visiting one of my friends that live in Birmingham. I'm going to be in England for a total of 10 days, but I am recording quite a few videos to post while I'm away. So I'm not going to get a lot into candle company news because things move so quickly. I don't know what the news is going to be. I'm not Miss Cleo. I'm not a psychic. So I don't know what the candle company news is going to be by the time this video gets posted. However, I will tell you I have some bad news about Village Candle. Oh, Village Candle. So, I mean, we know that Village Candle was like absorbed by Stonewall Kitchen a while ago, and things have been very much going downhill ever since. This rain candle, I love it so much. So there hasn't been any official word really from the company what's happening, but reading between the lines and seeing posts on Instagram and posts on Reddit, I saw I've seen several kind of pretty reliable sources now say that Village Candle is basically downsizing their entire sort of fleet down to 12 candles. All right. So I think they're basically like getting ready for the end here, which makes me really, really, really sad. But from what I've learned, from what people have said, people that have talked to managers there, people that work at Stonewall Kitchen, is that Village Candle is kind of wrapping things up or sort of curating things down to just their 12 big popular candles. Now, I do suspect that Rain is going to make the cut. I can't imagine that this candle isn't one of their 12 more popular candles that they intend on keeping around. I know a lot of people like their coffee bean candle. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think they'll keep their strawberry shortcake candle. I think that they will keep their the wild Maine blueberry. I feel like that's kind of their flagship candle or their flagship fragrance because the company was originally based out of Maine. Basically, they're only going to be offering their 12 big popular candles from now on, and everything else is going away. And it looks like everything else is like being clearanced off, like either on the website or in the discount retailers. We're going to be left with just the 12 core Village Candle fragrances. So, and just a heads up, you guys, this is all kind of still really gossip and conjecture at this point. Like, I don't have any official news from anyone, but I'm guessing they're going to be getting rid of their Halloween candles. And so once I heard this news, I went on to Amazon because I love their Halloween candles. And even though I just bought 3 like fresh, new Graveyard Ghost and Haunted Mansion and Pumpkin Scarecrow, even though I just bought those 3 candles for this season, I just ordered 3 more. And I'm guessing they'll also probably be doing away with those like fairy tale candles. And actually, some of those fairy tale candles were very good. Like the Once Upon a Time candle was lovely. The Forbidden Forest candle was lovely. The Mermaid candle was lovely. The Mermaid candle was more of sort of like a sea Mediterranean version of this Rain candle. And then they also have their Fairy Dust candle, which is my favorite candle from them. It's like a plum and amber fragrance. And so I also went on Amazon and saw that I could get all 3 of those candles and ordered those as well. So I just placed a big Village Candle order of those Halloween candles, Fairy Dust, Mermaid Tales, and Once Upon a Time, because I'm guessing that those are going to disappear and probably never be seen or heard from ever again. So I wanted to get some backups in my collection, and I did. Like I said, I'm guessing the fragrances that they're going to keep around from now on, I think that will include Rain. I know their Strawberry Pound Cake is really popular. The Coffee House is really popular. Wild Maine Blueberry. You know, we'll see what happens there, but it's really starting to feel like it might be curtains for Village Candle. You know what I mean? That just might be the beginning of the end in a really big way, probably. But we shall see. I mean, I hope someone decides that it's a brand worth keeping alive. But I mean, if they're not going to be like putting out any new fragrances or seasonal collections, and they haven't really done that for a long time, then I'm guessing, you know, they'll just have their fleet of those 12 candles in the Stonewall home store and website from now on. And I'm guessing they might continue to pour them. Like, I don't know. But I say all of this to say that if you have any Village candles that you really can't live without, I would get your hands on them sooner rather than later, because once they're gone, they might very well be gone forever. sad note. Anyways, oh, what else could I talk about? Oh, I recently passed 2,000 subscribers, you guys. Thank you so much. Shout out to all my new subscribers. There's been a lot of new people coming around lately, and I'm so happy to have more people here. You know, this is just a fun hobby for me. I don't consider myself a fragrance expert or even like a candle collector. It's just a fun hobby for me. And, you know, it really got amped up during COVID. COVID is when, you know, I was home so much, I started to really get into home fragrance more. And I just thought it would be fun to do a channel. The reason why I do this is to create and to connect and to have fun. And I'm a thirst bucket and an attention whore. I've never had plans of making any real money off of this channel or becoming any sort of an influencer or something. This has just always been a fun hobby for me. So if you are one of my new subscribers, then welcome to the party. I am sad that this 2,000 subscriber milestone happened at a time where I am just so darn busy. Work has just been wild and now I'm gone on vacation, but when I get back, and things are finally gonna be calming down for me substantially when I get back. When I get back, we are gonna schedule a live party and we're all gonna get on here and chat and have a kiki, and I'll do some sort of a giveaway. I will do something fun. I will do something to mark the 2,000 subscribers milestone as soon as I can. I promise you that. Keep your eye out for a poll, because the last time that I wanted to do a live party, I put out a poll and I was like, what time will most people be able to show up? Should I do a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night? Should I do a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday night? You know, I'll probably put out some sort of poll. I need you guys to all vote for the time that you'd actually be able to make it for, and I'll do some sort of a live giveaway during that recording. So it will be fun. We will celebrate eventually. You can email me your burning questions to allaboutcandles@gmail.com and follow me on Instagram at allaboutcandles. If you guys could hit me up with a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me. I'm an attention whore and a thirst bucket, and I'm just like Tinkerbell. If you don't clap for me, I die. Anyways, guys, I will catch you in the next one. You know, I'm not trying to fool anyone or pull the wool over your eyes. It's going to be pre-recorded videos until like October 14th or 15th, but I do have a lot of stuff pre-recorded to come your way. I've got a weekly wax wrap-up already locked and loaded to go next week, so stay tuned for that. And my candle haul on Saturday is actually going to be a really interesting one, because I've accumulated a whole bunch of odd candles from my travels here and there. And so my candle haul on Saturday is just gonna be like this mishmash of like all kinds of odd little candles that I've either picked up or I've been gifted from people over the last couple of months. Some really cute, interesting candles are actually gonna get featured in there, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, my dear, gorgeous, and beautiful candle-loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye for now. Cheers. Take care. Mwah.